Hello, welcome to Customer Experience Leaders Chat by Nicereply, where we talk to support professionals from all over the world and discuss what's behind their team's success. This interview is brought to you by Nicereply, an all-in-one customer satisfaction tool that helps you measure and improve the quality of your customer service. My name is Craig Stoss, and I'm here today with Tuay Sotrop, the Chief Customer Experience Evangelist at Dixa. Tuay, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Very nice to be here.
Tuay, we're here today to talk about product-led customer success, a different way of thinking about bringing value to your customers. Can you describe what that means for our listeners?
It's very much about what happens in the post-sales process, about change management. The goal is to guide the customer to get the value out of the product. When we are in the sales process, we give them a lot of opportunities to use it, but we want to make sure that they actually get the benefit out of the tool. And that can be done in different ways. So it's very much about guiding them to get the value that they seek.
So in practicality, what does that mean? What tasks are associated with this type of approach? What does your team do?
This can be done in a number of different ways. Some of it can be done through automatic tracking within the tool. We have these agent enablement sessions, and that means that we will remotely observe an agent working within the tool. We will take down notes. We will look at their workflow. We will see what obstacles that there are in the workflow, and then we'll come up with recommendations for how they can work in a different way. And we also take some of the feedback and put into our product development. So if we see something that is preventing the agents from being successful with our tool, then we can actually identify it and come up with solutions for it during this process.
So these types of actions are really different. I mean, there's differences between doing reporting and observing pain points. How does your team get structured, or what types of changes does your company need to adopt in order to make this a successful program?
I would say the first is to get a clear purpose of what it is that we want to do. And we have three main purposes for doing this. It is, of course, to look at the agent's workflow within the platform, and then also come up with, are there changes we can recommend based on our observations that can make the agents more efficient? What UI or UX changes can be made to improve the agent's experience? What can improve their quality of life? And then also involve the agents to show that we actually care, we're listening to them. I think in many situations when you are delivering a software platform, you focus very much on the executive buyer. But who we should cater more to is actually the agents that are spending the majority of their time within the tool.
So these processes need to be designed, and if you're going to feed information into other parts of the organization, it needs to be in a format that they can use. Maybe let's dig into the various programs like the agent enablement sessions and see exactly what the inputs and the outputs of that process look like.
Sure. So the format that we are working with right now is, first, we watch the agents work through screen sharing. Then we record the sessions for later analysis. And the goal is, of course, to understand the agent's workflow. Then we take notes. We try to limit the questions that we're asking. We are asking questions that the agents might ask of us, of course. And through this process, we will identify challenges, both in regards to how the agents work within the product and also what are in the product that can be improved. So the last thing of this format is to identify opportunities for improvement, both when it comes to the agent's workflow, but also within the product. And I think that's very important. Our experience is also that it has to be something close to like 2 hours, because if it's only 1 hour, then it is not enough time to get the kind of intimacy that you need with the agent. They need to feel comfortable with you being there. They need to be able to share how they work and get into a more flow. So it's not only academic, but they're actually getting into handling the conversations that they are receiving, how they're answering, how they're using the different functionalities within the platform.
Are most of your customers very receptive to this process?
Yes, for sure. I think from their point of view, it's a chance to have somebody come from the outside, look at how they work, show interest in their workflow, and then ultimately draw on a lot of best practices that can help them become more efficient. So from the agent's point of view, they, of course, like that somebody is showing an interest in them. And from the management side, they will end up with a report that can help them become more efficient or even deliver a better service to their customers.
I think that last bit is very key. Management needs to see an ROI. What types of those returns on investment do your customers see, and turning that around, how there obviously has to provide a value to your company in order to do that. So where's the value on both sides of performing these tasks?
Something that we have seen through the sales process that we've had is that a big part of what we are offering is actually a different way of working. What we see is that a customer service manager is very much like they're stranding on an island. They have inherited one or more systems, and they are doing things because that's how they have been done through time. And suddenly somebody comes from the outside and they are recommending a different way of working. They are helping them to provide a better customer experience. And that's something that they very much want to listen to. Somebody that is drawing on a lot of experiences with other customers, know what works within the different contact channels, and can advise them in how that can be set up. So their return on investment is, of course, that they give a little bit of their time, and then they find out how they can become more efficient within the tool. And I think regardless of what product you're selling, this is a very valuable approach. And from our point of view, our benefit is, of course, to identify what we can improve within the product. Another part is to build a better relationship with our customers, especially when it comes to renewal. If we've just had a conversation with some of the agents and we give them a report about how they can become more efficient, then they understand more what value they're getting out of the product they're buying. So in that sense, we tie ourselves closer to our customers, and we help them to become more efficient.
I mean, that sounds like the ultimate goal, right? Is your product improves, your product matures and gets better, solves more use case, and the customers are able to use it more. The product becomes more sticky, more embedded in their process. They're able to access more of their feature sets. So everyone wins. How would our listeners know that a product-led customer success program is right for their organization? What are the indicators?
I would say that if you have a product and you are a bit unsure about how it's actually being used by the agents or users, then setting up these sessions, which basically cost nothing. It's a little of your time and a little of the customer's time, and both parts should be willing to invest in it. If you set up something like 2 hours for the session and then maybe an hour to do a report that you can send back to the customer or client, then it's 3 hours that has been spent on it. And that's very little compared to what both you and the customer gets out of that as value. We can see that the outcome of this session is to have a document with recommended improvements to the agent's workflow. It's also building a document with recommended improvements to the product that can improve the agent's quality of life within the product. Then it is a matter of identifying and prioritizing low-hanging fruits and building trust with the agent so they feel more confident using the platform that they're in.
And finally, it sounds like this program involves working very cross-functionally. It maybe is a different way of thinking about the way your success team speaks to customers, how you onboard customers, obviously the program itself, but then even at the product level, working with the product team to improve the product. How did you go about obtaining that cross-functional alignment that this was important feedback that you were collecting and making the most use out of it?
That has definitely been a process. In the beginning, as most businesses, you are very much sales-led in your product development. You need to have a certain feature to be able to close a sale. Now we have tried to transition more into a product-led approach to our development. And that means when we have these sessions, we are not talking about a specific feature, like we need a button that does this. It's more about the business challenge that this functionality has to solve. And then we take that and translate it into a user story. As an agent, I need to be able to show that. And that is what we do for basically every feature. That makes it much easier both for our product development team, and also when we talk to existing and potential customers to understand why we are focusing on different things within the product. It makes it much easier to see what business value actually comes out of the feature that we're working on.
This sounds like a really interesting approach that brings value to your customers through making sure that your product is advancing in the ways they want it, and making sure your product is being used in the ways that it most benefit the end users and your customers. Tu-Wei, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And thank you all for listening to Customer Experience Leaders Chat by Nicereply with today's guest, Tu-Wei Suotrup from Dixa. Make sure to check out our other support interviews and more quality content at nicereply.com.